Hey everybody, it's Urban Libertarian here, and I wanted to talk about something I'm sure it's been talked about a lot, but just how the whole Syrian narrative is complete BS, and this Wikileaks new revelation from Wikileaks, which we all knew if you were paying attention, but just more nails in the coffin of how Hillary was supplying the jihadists in Libya, something I've been saying for fucking years, and nobody wanted to listen to me. They thought I was crazy, even though there was a bunch of evidence for it. But this just came out, so apparently WikiLeaks posted an unclassified email to Hillary Clinton from her foreign policy advisor, Jake Sullivan, and that's dated February 12th, saying that AQ is on our side in Syria. So WikiLeaks just sent this out, and you can check it out. Unclassified U.S. State Department. See list item, AQ is on our side in Syria, and that's the whole thing, and that's why, Al-Qaeda is just ISIS, just all a name, and if you don't know, the Al-Qaeda was, actually not Al-Qaeda, but it's like a succession. So back in the 70s, to go all the way back, Zbigniew Brzezinski, I believe he was the Secretary of State under, Richard Nixon. I could be wrong on that, doesn't really matter. But anyway, long story short, it's in his own words. He even says that, like, history will show that the Russia invaded Afghanistan, but really we baited Russia into a long war by supplying the freedom fighters, which were called the Mujahideen back then, to bait them into a long, drawn-out war to bankrupt the Soviet Union, and that's basically how the Cold War ended. It's not ironic, and that's what's been going on for the past almost 20 years now, about over 20 years probably, right? But they created they created Mujahideen, and they turned into Al-Qaeda, and then Al-Qaeda turned into ISIS. All this, and it just kept moving on and on. But basically, we've been supplying the enemy, and it's something I've been saying a long time ago, and I just can't believe that because if Trump bombs Syria, the government, then that's basically who's fighting Al-Qaeda and ISIS, then you're basically helping them. So I don't know, I think he kind of screwed up on that, but at the same time, it's, I don't know what he knows, and I'm not there, so I still think it was bad, but it's not going to cause World War III. We really need to worry about North Korea. But anyway, this just came out, so going back in history, this was from the National Review. This is 2016. Hillary Clinton's Benghazi debacle, arming jihadists in Libya and Syria. So if you've been paying attention, I don't really need to read it. It's just, if you've been paying attention to WikiLeaks and paying attention to the actual media, there's so much evidence, And then getting to Susan Rice, just how ridiculous she was. I don't know if people really remember this, but I remember I was working in news, and I can't believe I actually had to report this. And it was complete fake news, complete bullshit. So what is this? What is this dated? 5 years old. April 29th, 2011. That's actually the anniversary of the LA riots. Susan Rice, Gaddafi supplies troops with Viagra to encourage mass rape, claims diplomat. This chick, right? And she said Gaddafi's, they were using Viagra to rape women. It was complete bullshit. It wasn't true. And then it came out. Remember, she came out, the Benghazi, said, oh, this is all about she lied to the American public. She said, oh, it's all about the videotape. That was complete bullshit. This lady, you can't believe anything that this lady says. But that's kind of on a side note. And then, Assad saying that it's fabricated, that the chemical attack was fabricated. And then here's the thing. This guy isn't really a great guy by any means. But, there's a lot of evidence, because if we go back, if you're just using logic, this is how I look at the world, and you should too. And if you're not already doing this, you really fucking should. But when you're just trying to judge, what's fake news or what's real news or what's reality, what's really going on in the world, you've just got to use your head. Look at this. This is way back in 2013, okay? So the UN accuses Syrian rebels of chemical weapons use. This was the first time that Obama drew his fake bullshit red line in the sand. Remember that? And thankfully, we didn't do anything because it was fake. Syrian rebels have made use of deadly nerve agent sarin in the war-torn country's conflict, UN human rights investigator Carla De Ponte has said. Well, there you go, right? So the UN has already Now, the end of their report, they didn't place blame on anybody, and I thought that was kind of bullshit. They kind of whitewashed their report, and that always happens. But let's look just before the report came out. According to testimonies we have gathered, the rebels have used chemical weapons, making use of sarin gas. DePonte, a former war crimes prosecutor, said in an interview with Swiss Radio late Sunday. I mean, so come on, this is a former war crimes prosecutor. She's working for the UN, which, they probably had to scrub all her findings out, but it's not like some right-wing conspiracy shit. What is this, from the Telegraph? We still have to deepen our investigation, verify and confirm the findings through new witness testimonies, but according to what we have established so far, at this moment, opponents of the regime are using sarin gas. She stressed that the UN Commission of Inquiry in Syria, which is a part of, had far from a finished investigation. Okay, so they're not done yet, right? But they took him to Turkey, and they found that was sarin gas, that according in the report. It's just, and it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. And then going to this article, I saw this. This was why is the mainstream media trying to cover up on the Susan Rice story? And it just goes on and on how she's totally lied, and it doesn't mention the the Gaddafi thing. But I just thought that was kind of funny, and I remember having to report that in the news, just thinking, "Oh my God, it's complete bullshit." Yeah, and then the whole Syrian thing. I mean, so the UN says that both sides are committing war crimes. So I don't even know why we're even supporting any side. And then the whole thing that nobody wants to talk about, the 5 billion pound elephant in the room, is that look, I don't think that Trump's doing this now because I hope he says that he's going to bomb the shit out of ISIS, and that just happened today. They dropped that 1 million pound Moab bomb on them, right? But we shouldn't really be. We really should look at the bigger picture here. Is that look, if the rebels are Al Qaeda, and then at least through the Obama administration times, they were supplying them with weapons, because that's what the whole Libya thing was about as well. I mean, the whole Arab Spring, that was all started through, that was basically a CIA operation, which is kind of funny, right? The CIA just goes through all the world, screwing taking over, screwing with other people's elections, and then, it's Russia that's screwing with our election, which we know through WikiLeaks that it was really most likely the CIA, and then the whole Guccifer 2.0 showing that Seth Rich was involved, was the leaker of the DNC, and it's not really Russian. It's just fucking bullshit. It's just so ridiculous. So the whole point of this is like, you really got to be critical of the news. Just don't be passive. Like, do some research. And you'll really see that the whole fucking narrative is bullshit, and it's just like this 8-dimensional chess that's going on. It's everything isn't what it seems. When the media talks about stuff, they'll just omit things, use half-truths. Like, for now, they're not saying that they talk about the whole Syrian the gas attack and that Assad did it. We know there's no evidence. We don't know. I don't see anything. And if anything, it's been shown that the Al Qaeda did it before, or ISIS, or whatever their name was at the time, that they were the fucking ones doing it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. All you look at the timeline, Trump's like, I'm going to leave it alone, and then the government goes and does that. You got to look at who benefits. You got to look at things like you're a lawyer, like a prosecution lawyer or something. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. That'd be awesome. And subscribe. That'd be even more awesomer. Thanks for watching.